Welcome back to another exciting trip around the crypto canaverse. In this episode, we will unveil the secrets behind Coinsub's success, led by a team of Fortune 50 veterans with a $1.8 billion track record. I'm excited to share how they're pioneering the subscription payment revolution with blockchain and stablecoins. Don't miss this chance to be a part of their capital venture, aiming for a $2 to $3 million raise with a $20 million cap and an enticing equity to token warrant ratio. But before we get started, I would love for Alan to present our Bible verse.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining another week of Crypto Canaverse. Seems like we have a lot of viewers out there, along with participants. Today's Bible verse actually is picked and chosen by Jasper here, and it comes from Proverbs 11:25. Proverbs is a book of wisdom. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. This verse highlights the benefits of generosity and kindness. It suggests that when we bless others and show generosity, we will also experience blessings and refreshment in our own lives. This principle is often demonstrated in various aspects of life. By refreshing others, we create a cycle of blessing that can return to us in various ways. So I want to ask you, Jasper, why did you choose this verse?
I actually came from a Buddhist and then following that, a non-religious background. And then at some point, looking into observing people, observing how businesses succeed, fail, people succeed, fail, and what makes people happy, growing up in a restaurant myself and observing a lot of different people, I realized that to give is to receive, right? Not to exchange, not to do something in exchange for something else, but genuine generosity. To give in itself is to receive. If you think about physics, there's always balance, give and take, right? So if you take from others, you never know what's given up. But if you give to others, you never necessarily know what you'll receive. So living life by a principle of just doing good and doing good at scale is kind of what we're after here, myself as well as the Coinsub team.
Thank you,
I love
Jasper.
that.
Yeah, sounds like give generously is what you believe in. I believe in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you guys so much for sharing it. I believe in the same thing that, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But, when you just give, you seem to get back in so many ways. It's almost like the ripple effect. You never know how it's going to come back, but it always comes back and it comes back in a much bigger way. So I absolutely love that verse. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jasper and Alan. I appreciate you both. We at the Crypto Canaverse we are having a women pitch contest. If you are a woman in blockchain, crypto, Web3 industries, please reach out and submit an application to be on our pitch competition. We have already have had $20,000 promised in grant development funds, and we have a few different family offices and impact investors that are looking to help sponsor the pitch event. So please reach out. And if you would like to be a sponsor, please reach out to Crystal Wampler or Alan Lau on LinkedIn or at info@cryptocanaverse.com. So I would like to welcome Casey Craig. Casey is not only an investor, but also a partner and the director of education at Art Crypto. She is also a crypto social media maven with a huge TikTok following. Welcome, Casey.
Thank you so much. That was very kind. It's a new foray into the content creation side of things, so I appreciate the props that you gave me there, and still growing that stuff over there. But thank you so much for having me. Yeah, grateful to be here and talk about crypto education and hear about the exciting projects that we have here today. Coinsub is pretty exciting, as well as Global Stakes. So.
Yeah, thank you, Casey. Casey, so tell us a little bit more about Art Crypto and what's going down in Panama.
Yeah, so I'm presently here in beautiful Panama City, Panama. We have an office down here. A lot of our team lives down here, and we are a crypto education company. So we primarily focus in teaching from onboarding the proverbial normie, the folks that are just looking to learn about crypto and do it in a safe and secure environment. To pretty complex DeFi strategies. So we kind of run the gambit and can help anybody who's looking to further their education in cryptocurrency. And we've recently, this year, we've launched a really great platform for our educational content. So we've got e-learning in a self-guided capacity. We've got a lot of live classes. There's a lot of community interaction. So it's a really great environment to just help reduce your learning curve in this space, because you can learn anything that you want to learn out there, right, on YouTube and with other resources. But it's an environment where you have experienced investors and people who are there to help you on the right path. So.
That's amazing. Thank you for being here. It's wonderful to have another female, that is into crypto on the show. It's just a wonderful experience and feeling. So thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything personally that you are working on?
So I mean, really just our educational products, right? Trying to always bring the most relevant content. So what's fresh on the mind is, of course, a presentation for tomorrow. We've got Saturday school every weekend. And so just updating on developments with Phantom, Sonic upgrade, with some of the things that Polygon are doing, and just keeping my students and investors up to date with what's going on in the space. And so that's fresh on the mind. And then, of course, my new foray into social media content creation. That's a project that I've been working on lately, and it's been a lot of fun. So.
That's wonderful. What's one tip that you can offer to people out there watching for, content creation on TikTok or just on any platform?
Sure. I think it's just being yourself. I mean, I think I provide quality education, but I'm also just authentic and, I'm real about the information that comes out, and I don't try and show things. I don't try and present information in a certain kind of way. It's just being authentic and showing up consistently would be the biggest things.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And then where can our listeners reach you?
Yeah, so on our website is arcrypto.io, and then my TikTok is Casey Talks Crypto. So if you want to connect there, and then I've got a link tree in my TikTok bio that if you want to connect in all kinds of ways, you can check us out on YouTube. We go live every Thursday and do webinars on YouTube for free, and lots of ways to connect that way. So Casey Talks Crypto on TikTok, and my link tree is in the bio there.
Thank you, Casey. Appreciate that. And you guys reach out to Casey Talks Crypto. Love it, love it, love it. Our company spotlight is Jordan Knet. Welcome back, Jordan. How's it going?
It's going well. Thanks for having me back, Crystal. I really appreciate it. Good to see everybody on the call today.
It's wonderful having you back. Jordan is not only the head of institutional for Global Stake and ex-Coinbase and an author and speaker, but he also does LinkedIn Lives. Jordan, can you elaborate a little bit about Global Stake and your LinkedIn Lives?
Yeah, of course. So Global Stake, from a very high level perspective, we are an institutional staking firm, but our key differentiators, you could put us in the same bucket as like a Blockdaemon, a Figment, et cetera. But again, our key differentiators is we do not use hyperscalers. So in layman's terms, that means we're not using third-party clouds like AWS, Hetzner, Microsoft, et cetera. Everything that we do is on physical bare metal infrastructure that we manage. We self-own it. We're not renting it, and it's in tier 4, tier 5 data centers globally that we have physical people that work for us that are there managing those. And then outside of that, we are carbon negative, so pretty happy about that, and non-custodial. So we partner with custodians, exchanges, et cetera. As far as the LinkedIn Live aspect, yeah, we found similar as you with this show about maybe 6, 7, 8 months ago, somewhere in that ballpark. It would be a lot of fun to interview our customers as well as people that we're partnered with and have them on. Just have them talk about themselves, and it's been a fantastic way to get to know other companies, other people, do referrals, and just another fun way of doing business all around. So it's been a pretty fantastic ride so far.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we move on and introduce our guest speakers, I'd like to open up the floor for any questions for Jordan or Casey.
Yeah, do you mind if I hop in real quick?
Sure.
Casey, you guys seem to be really well positioned for the e-learning side of things. I know that like in the last bull run, there were a couple kind of institutions or platforms that did licenses or like blockchain certifications, but they seem to have faded away a little bit. Have you guys thought about positioning as like kind of a source of professional knowledge or certifications?
Yeah, definitely. So up to this point, we've been primarily B2C. We've got around 2,000 students that are subscribed to our education. And one of the key differentiators between us and a lot of those guys is that we have a really strong community and people have continued education and there's a lot of support there. There's a lot of live interaction that goes on. So yes, absolutely. And again, it's a shift that we've kind of slowly been making into that side of things because we have been so B2C focused. But it's yes is the answer, is moving forward, that the B2B is on the horizon and it's something that we look forward to and we welcome. So
Very cool.
I'll jump in here as well. Casey, it was great meeting you in person last week at Consensus. Was that last week? I think it was last week at Consensus. Just quick highlight for everybody that's on the call. People were very excited with their offering. It was fun watching you meet new people and people getting excited. I think at one point you actually spoke with, his name's escaping me. It's Grant Cardone's brother. What's his name?
Gary.
Gary. I don't know why I was escaping. Yeah, Gary Cardone, and I saw he was doing an interview for you, so which is really cool. But quick question, other companies that are maybe like ours, Global Stake, for instance, we have institutional customers that are constantly asking, hey, can you help explain to me, like I'm a 5-year-old again, like how does crypto work? And it just amazes me to this day that people are that way. Are you guys able to do white labeled education pieces so that it's maybe like, let's say Global Stake branded or another company's branded, but then we can send people links to actually let them learn about crypto versus joining your platform?
Yeah, so it's not something that we presently have an existing infrastructure for, but it's definitely something we've talked about and that we're open to. And so again, as we kind of explore the new B2B realm side of things, it's something that I think we'd be open to. But presently, it would be the partnerships that we have with other companies. It's more their sending their people to our platform because it's new and we just built it out and we've put a lot of time into that. So before we shift on to anything else right now, that's where we're at, but hopefully in the future. Yeah.
That makes sense. Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions out there? Not at the moment. Jordan, where can our listeners reach you at?
Yeah, I pretty much live on LinkedIn, but you can always message me on Telegram as well. My name, Jordan Connect. But yeah, happy to speak with anybody.
Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate you guys, you coming back and being our company spotlight. So let's welcome the co-founders of Coinsub, Jasper and David. Welcome, Jasper and David.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here. Before we get started, I would like you guys to, before we open up with your demonstration, and I'm sure everyone has tons of questions for you, I would like you to share one trait that inspired you to collaborate with one another about the other. So Jasper, what is one trait that inspired you to collaborate with David?
His steadfastness. He is like an absolute rock. I throw 1,000,001 things at him over the course of months coming in from advisors and like clients and partners. And he just takes all of them. He's like, all right, this is great. Let me just organize all of these and create you this like perfect roadmap. His steadfastness, man, perfect.
That's awesome.
I would never have guessed that you would have picked that. It's interesting, Jasper. So I'll tell you what, the reason why I like Jasper, we worked together in the last company we were part of. We were in a part of a Web3 gaming company. And not everyone is like this, but Jasper has a very easy way of being very direct and very specific about how things are, and he doesn't pull his punches when it comes to his opinions about things. This should be good, this is not good, we're doing this wrong, this is all wrong, and I appreciate that. I like somebody who has an opinion, a strong opinion, isn't afraid to say it, and it just cuts out like 20 minutes of the conversation that you normally have to go through in order to get to at the end. I'd like to being able to start with that. So Jasper's really good with that. So
That's wonderful. So steadfastness and not beating around the bush. Being very direct and specific with not beating around the bush. So that's super important. It saves a lot of time and energy. I love that. Thank you both so much for sharing that. I greatly appreciate that. Jasper, I'm going to go ahead and give you host abilities so that you can do your demo. And
All right,
then
great.
after you do your demo, we can open up with questions.
Sure. So if I recall, everyone here has the context on Coinsub for the most part. Our whole purpose is I'm looking for the share screen button is to kind of further that initial Bitcoin ethos of creating a financial system without intermediaries, right? It is just a little bit more efficient. Right now, we have so many siloed systems out there. I can hire someone from India, Southeast Asia, LATAM at the same time. But my issue now actually becomes the fact that I can't pay them. Like our payment rails themselves have become the blocker to commerce itself. So what I'm showing you now is our single point of entry. Everyone accesses with their wallet, regardless of whether or not they're a merchant or customer. They sign in. This also makes it easy for us to white label, right? We don't have our own proprietary accounts or systems. We go ahead and collect the wallet information. Beyond that, what we try to do is to also tackle not just the protocol side of things. We are beyond just a payment gateway, we're a messaging protocol, right? So to enable ecosystem agnostic asset transfers, but what we've also recognized is that's not quite enough. In order for mass consumer adoption, you have to have the consumer applications. It's great to have an ecosystem and a protocol, but mom and pop shops can't use that. The 99% can't use that. So we need to make something that's comparable to the fiat alternatives out there so that we can actually help the blockchain competencies shine, right? So when you log in, first thing you'll see, similar to any kind of payment processor merchant gateway, is the ability for data analytics to dive in, the deep dive for the transactions that people have seen, as well as analytics information. Our goal is not only just to be comparable, but to be easier than Stripe, right? That's the whole thing. What's the point of emerging technology if we can't be better, right? So same thing, the ease of creating a recurring payment or a one-off. The recurring piece is actually the nuance that we solved that wasn't present. In crypto, you can't really do single approval recurring payments, and that's necessary for SaaS models, subscription models, and all of those. Right? So that was the first thing we solved is the signed cryptographic agreements, one signature, and things function the way that you would expect them to in Web 2. Again, making it super easy. People can go ahead and just embed our code and webhooks into their platform, and that connects to their database. Or for anyone else, we can go ahead and directly send them this payment link. So what you see with the payment link, again, this is what your customer sees, and our goal is if grandma's got 1,000 USDC and wants to pay for Netflix, that she can. So we've actually abstracted away gas fees as well. So all you need is that 1,000 USDC. We know what's in your wallet. We know which chains they're on, and we let you go ahead and select that. Gas is covered by us and baked into the business model, but technically we have solved that piece, as well as how it works on the conditional level afterwards. So conditional payments wise, while we're waiting for the signature, what they're doing is they're signing for 1 USDC every 30 days, no more, no less. So security wise, if there was a compromise, the only thing that can be lost is 1 USDC every 30 minutes. David, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, this is set up for 7-day reoccurring payment. So
thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes. So on the 7-day, we are very flexible, 1 day, 3 days, 7 days. And in the future, listening for events on the chain as well, right? So beyond just, hey, it's day 7, it's, hey, did this NFT get transferred? So in which case we could actually extend it towards escrow contracts as well as atomic settlements. But first and foremost, what we wanted to do was solve an issue that's already present, which is, hey, you can't pay for your subscriptions with crypto. You can't do SaaS models. Again, our kind of focus towards mass adoption. I've got this little bar floating up top that has the AI companion things, and I can't click my tabs. So my apologies here on minimizing. So they can navigate away. As you can see, immediately off the bat, you can see the pending transaction. People can click in, dig into the transaction hash, an unprecedented level of transparency into each point of the rail, which is missing currently. And also we're talking about settlement in the matter of minutes as opposed to the 2 to 5 business days that is necessary. The 2 to 5 business days necessary to withdraw anything. Extended beyond that is not only the control over the merchant side of things, but every company and every person sends and receives money, right? So shouldn't you be able to actually check out your monthly spending, not only as a individual, but as a company? So we do pay our company and our employees, subcontractors as well, through our own platform. And in this manner, using blockchain technology will also give people and people's finance teams the unprecedented control over seeing what their spending is going to look like in predictive analytics there. So in short, taking blockchain technology, improving our existing rails, and also opening up the market beyond what the current restraints of fiat can do. So I will pause there and open it back up for any questions.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Casey.
You're okay. You're okay. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions, but that was great. And there's a huge need for that in this space, right? And so from our perspective, that was one of the questions I had jotted down. The last use case is obviously payments of employees. And I'm not going to lie to you, we do it in a pretty Neanderthal type of way. Like I'm using, MetaMask through Fireblocks and using disperse.app for our batched payments. But it's not on any kind of recurring subscription, which is really cool in the paying salaries vertical of things. Do you have the capability for batched payments on a recurring schedule?
David, let me hand that over to you. Right now, we do things on a one-by-one basis, but I'll hand it over to David to talk about the roadmap a little further.
So, I mean, like you could set up as many products and have them reoccurring on the same day as you want. So what you're talking about something different, which is like they're all processed at the same time. And
Sure.
The purpose behind that would be that you want to save on some kind of transaction fees or something like that. We process them probably in batch behind the scenes, but we don't allow the users who sign up or the merchants to sign up to create products to stipulate that they be processed together or anything like that. But certainly you could have more than one product. In this case, we're talking about, and we set up the product and we're talking about an employee receiving a salary as a product, and then they could receive it. You can have as many as you want, and they could all receive it at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. A couple of other quick questions for you before, we hand it over for everybody. Have you thought about the vertical of using this in token vesting, right? Whenever people are initially launching and you got your vesting schedules and such. And I feel like that's another really cool application for this. And I'm just very fascinated with what you're doing. And I'm thinking about all of the things, and I'm sure that it's coming and that you've thought of all of these things, but I'd be curious to hear.
Oh my gosh, that's such a great question. You would think that I seated you here in this call. Oh my gosh. So we have two different layers.
I am not a paid actor for anybody who's on.
No, wow, like man, how much do you charge? But we have two separate layers, right? Which is the messaging protocol layer, that is what typically people would consider like a layer 0 or something. And then we have the consumer applications on top. We realize it doesn't work if you don't do both. But the layer 0, right? The answer is yes. Vesting, grants, conditional disbursements, like milestone-based tracking, all of those things are possible underneath the hood. We just need to wrap it in a different UI, right? And there have been a couple of companies that have reached out to us to actually utilize our infrastructure, almost like in an ecosystem way, but instead of us paying them, they pay us, to utilize our infrastructure to build out their tech. One, for example, wanted to do living treasuries or living vaults. There's a lot of idle money sitting out there. I got to pay you, for example, or if I need to pay one of my CEOs, CTOs, executives, $250 a year. That's dispersed over 12 months, but there's no reason that during that period of escrow contract, similar to vesting, that can't already start being reinvested to generate yield. So risk-adjusted yield vaults. So the answer is yes, we have a crazy amount of control over where the money moves, when the money moves, and what we can do to generate money on top of that, which deviates so greatly from, well, it tacks on and adds additional value to all the current processes today. Yes.
Very cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I want to just kind of chime in there too, Jasper. Jasper's talking about some interesting things, but this is an interesting process that we went through. We came at this with a very simple problem. Hey, it would really nice to be able to pay my Netflix subscription with cryptocurrency. That way I don't have to go through the loss of transferring it to off ramping it and all that. And I'm like, okay, that's no problem. We should be able to do that. So we solved this relatively simple problem. But in the process of solving this problem, we had to invent pieces of technology that didn't exist. And we had to then create a system that we would want to use ourselves, right? The easiest way to solve this problem is to give somebody else permission to spend your money and then just tell them, I want you to spend my money every 30 days. Okay, that's great. That's fine if you trust that person, right? But if you are a big fan of decentralized tech, then you probably have a somewhat of a distrust for centralized services. And so we had to solve the problem in a decentralized way. Like, how are we going to do this, but we don't require you to trust us personally with your funds? And frankly, no one else is doing it this way. There are other people who are doing subscription services. Some of them are doing them in a weird way where you actually have to pay a year's worth of subscription up front and it sits there and it slowly comes out. To me, that's not really a subscription. That's just me paying up front. Like if I wanted to pay monthly, I want to pay monthly. I don't want to pay in 12 months and then get it taken out 1 month at a time. There are other people who says, okay, yeah, we'll do a subscription service, but you just give us permission to spend your money and we'll spend it for you according to, what we promised. Wink, wink. There's no legal requirements for us to do exactly what we're saying. That's what I like decentralized tech for. There are no legal requirements to do decentralized tech. Decentralized tech works because it sets guardrails around bad actors and it forces people to go into the system. It says, it's in my mutual best interest to help facilitate these transactions that these people want. That's what the point of decentralized technology is. So we solved this from a decentralized tech, and then we sat back and we realized, what have we done? We've done something here, and it applies, this technology solution that we have and the framework that we built applies to so many other high-level commercial activity that we could turn around and do anything with it. And so now we're stuck with this huge problem of where do we go now? Like we have this, we can do anything. We can do what Jasper said. We can do all kinds of different payment options. We can do, the sky is limitless. So it's really an interesting problem that we have, finding the niche where we feel like consumer application will be best suited our efforts. But so additional context there for you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I'll just hog one more question before I let everybody speak, because I apologize, but I'm genuinely quite interested. So on the trust and competition side of things, are you fully open source?
So, we're not open source in the sense that our services, our backend services, our API code and stuff is accessible to everybody. We're not open source in that respect. But once we have completed our audit of our smart contracts, those will be able to be reviewed by anybody. And the difference between us and our competitors are that all of our transactions go through our smart contracts. We don't actually have permission to spend your money. When you sign that permission agreement, yes, I give you permission. You're giving permission to the smart contract. So if you trust the smart contract, then you don't have to worry about whether or not we're bad actors, because we can't mess with it too much. And that was one of the points. When we tried to solve this problem, I said, how will I be able to trust this? If I'm going to use this myself, how will I be able to trust it? And so I went into solving the problem as if I was a consumer and I wanted to build something that I could trust. And that's kind of what we've done. We built a smart contract that makes it impossible for us or anybody who has controlling, even owner access to the smart contract to mess with your subscriptions. The only thing that we can do is cancel them. We can't increase them. We can't change the frequency. We can't change the currency. We can only cancel them. And that's the same thing that you have permission to do as a user of the smart contract. So those will be open. You'll be able to see them, review them, and then you'll be able to, rely on those.
Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you for that explanation. And the reason I was asking is, why wouldn't Coinbase or somebody who has a payments infrastructure come and rip off what you're doing if it was fully open source? And why would people trust you if it's not? So you definitely did elaborate on that and cover it. And so thank you for that. But because I've been over here blabbing, Dylan, I would love to hand it back to you. I apologize for taking all that time, but go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a question on the payment side, because most subscriptions are a certain amount, say like 30 a month or something like that. Do you guys have the ability to do like usage-based subscriptions, say electric bill, gas bill, that type of thing? It's different each month based on how much I use. Is that like a functionality, or is that on the roadmap? Because I think that would be useful a lot for people in everyday lives, like involving like owning an apartment or renting an apartment or owning a home.
Jasper, I was waiting for you to take it.
I'm also like, wait, Kenneth's also smiling over there on the Coinbase Commerce side of things because he's coming from Coinbase and has a little bit of insight on why Coinbase Commerce is going to be using us for their white label infrastructure as opposed to building their own solution. But that's a whole different question there. The answer is yes. So with the same mechanisms that we're doing, we do plan on taking a look at creating bounds for basically budget-based billing, because that's realistically what it is. If you're billing a bill company for like $100 a month plus usage-based billing of blank your APIs, you really don't care unless it exceeds a budget, right? For the most part, I don't care if it's $200, $300 or under. So you set that threshold on a company and it becomes budget-based billing, which doesn't currently exist. And you don't have to sign it unless it supersedes that. And then on our dashboard, I don't know if you guys remember, you saw this things requiring your attention. So any kind of signatures that your ongoing relationships, your ongoing channels of transaction that require attention, either another approval or some changes, you can just go there and reapprove it. So that is on our roadmap for Q3. David?
Yeah, so like, just to be clear, when you sign that reoccurring subscription agreement, that's a cryptographic agreement gets sent to the blockchain and processed on the blockchain. That's how our tech works, right? What we want to do is we want to create other forms of those same cryptographic agreements. So an example would be a metered billing situation where we're inside the signed agreement, you recognize an authority who can give you the information about how much usage you used. So the blockchain would allow that, and then it would create a stipulation that the person who has the authority to stipulate the usage can then access the blockchain, update those records, and we automatically bill you the right amount at the end of the month. So that's in the roadmap. I can't comment on actually the timeline because that's based on the priorities, the business priorities, but that's in the roadmap, as well as just pure invoicing. Like the biggest need that we've seen since we've done the reoccurring as people really just want to be able to say, here's an arbitrary bill for this amount, and it's custom because we did this work and this work and this work. And so it's not like based on a specific product, or it's a room at a hotel, or it's a dinner out to eat. And we just want to be able to send the bill to somebody and they pay in crypto. It's like, well, that's interesting. Well, we don't necessarily have anything that would facilitate that sort of discrete interaction. So we can definitely do that. That's not the complex for us. And so, yeah, we'll add these commercial agreement types that are essentially another layer of complexity on top of regular blockchain transactions, and that offer the ability to do much more complex and interesting commercial activity, I think. So yeah, that's definitely on the roadmap.
Thank you.
I'll jump in here. I just have to say, I mean, it's kind of cheating because I've already met Jasper before in the team. I absolutely love what you guys are building. I'm very excited. I think it's highly needed in the marketplace. I think the best way Jasper explained to me prior is we are enabling commerce in blockchain, like in crypto, whereas before it didn't really exist. Like, because my initial thought process was always, well, why do we need another payments company? Like, how are you guys different than Ripple? But once I understood it, I'm like, this is insane. This is like Shopify, but for Web3. So very exciting. But here's where my question will come in. Dylan kind of already stole it, but so I'll build on top of Dylan's. Let's say a company like mine, a staking company, when we want to get our validator fee out, we do have some customers that will say, hey, we prefer to send you your validator commission in the native asset. Are you guys able to also do the same kind of mechanism where the validator fee obviously changes, varied each month? When I go to send somebody a bill, rather than them automatically having the pre-confirmed USDC to send back to me, can they send it back maybe in the native asset?
Yeah, absolutely. So on our end, right, we abstract, practical. Abstract level, we consider all movement of tokenized assets as the movement of data payloads, right? So future state, whether it's an ERC20 token or an NFT, like it doesn't matter. We can still move all of these. Now, short term and how it is practical is, yes, People, especially on Ethereum compatible networks, most of these tokens are just ERC20 tokens for the most part. So which means people's native tokens, their game tokens, all of these can be moved through our same system as well.
Well, let me ask you, are you talking about native asset? Are you talking about the native cryptocurrency for the chain? Or are you talking about some custom token?
Yeah, no. So the native, like, I'll give you a prime example. Like, let's say I have a customer that says, "Hey, I know your validator commission is XYZ specifically for Ethereum, and our fee ranges. I'll use a made up number here, like 1 ETH to 1.5 ETH every single month." One customer might say, "Hey, we'll pay you the cash equivalent at the end of the month of what that 1.5 ETH is worth. We'll send that to you in USDC. Send us a bill." We have other customers that say, "No, I want to send you the native asset."
Okay,
I'll
sure,
send you
sure. Let me answer that question because that's an interesting question, actually. So the reason why our system works is because the ERC20 standard has an approved method where you can approve a contract address to be able to spend a certain amount of ERC20 for you, right? And there are other methods and other types of tokens that allow you to do something similar. Native doesn't have anything like that. Native cryptocurrency doesn't allow you to delegate authority to another group of people to be able to spend for you. However, you can still do it. And this is how you do it. And this is the roadmap for us in the future is that if you have an abstracted account, that is a smart contract wallet that holds native cryptocurrency, you can then build in permissions into that. So our long-term roadmap looks like much more like a smart contract wallet that you will eventually get, and you'll be able to interact with it very easily and efficiently using a very similar user interface, but it doesn't require gas. And in that case, when we get to that smart contract abstracted wallet, then you will be able to do that with native as well.
Awesome. I love to hear it. And then I have one more quick question before I open it back up to the group. So one of the reasons why I love joining these calls that Crystal hosts is the people that are on these calls aren't here to just passively listen. Like, we want to help the companies that come on. So I know you have a lot of stuff on your roadmap, but where you all are today, what is something that any of us or all of us can actively do to obviously drive business your direction? What's like one thing that you're saying, this specific company, this specific industry, send more of that to us. We're ready to go. We want to hit the ground running. Maybe it's a question for Kenneth.
Kenneth, do you want to jump on that? I'll start talking while I give you a second to think, so I don't put you on the spot. Well, Casey, for example, they've got a monthly membership for their monthly or annual membership, right? To me, those are the lowest hanging fruit, right? We're crypto natives. We should be paying for things in crypto. Beyond that, you remove all of the issues of chargebacks. You far reduce transaction fees, and you increase accessibility to pretty much from whoever these rails accept to the entire global populace that can possibly get their hands on crypto, right? So in their case, adding on anyone who has a monthly membership, subscription membership that wants to tack on it, pay with crypto, or anyone who wants to tack on and pay with crypto would be our ideal space, right? First and foremost, and then secondary is everyone who operates in the crypto native space. For example, one of our clients is a marketing agency, and they have like 30, 40 subcontractors, 20, 30 clients. And the whole management of all that, sure, they accept crypto, but to manage 70 invoices in and out every month becomes unmanageable. That's the difference between crypto payments and crypto commerce, is our ability to help people scale with the dashboards and the automation. So anybody who has a growing business that already accepts crypto, that's like, let me just take this extra step. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I think just to add to Jasper's point, I mean, targeting Web3 natives, people who are familiar with crypto is a no-brainer. I mean, crypto merchants have crypto-friendly customers who are more inclined to build that adoption, which is great for us to build that initial traction before we expand, even outside of Web3, right? And and we really feel that targeting the Web3 natives is a good move for everyone because let's put it this way: we're all in the Web3 space together. Why not build with crypto by paying with crypto, right? It doesn't get any better, easier than that. So, with that movement, we feel that, that's going to be the next driving force to bring in the next wave of Web3 adopters.
Yeah, I agree, and I love the mission. I just want to say, Jasper, you'll definitely be getting a note from me, my friend. So I'm glad we got to connect today. You're right up our alley.
If I can jump in here real quick, Jordan, if you're done, I was curious, and the sort of ideal client I know, and then is it like, like what is your ideal client, and is it more, you were just saying Web3, but like what's an ideal like Web2 client look like? Like how does that industry sort of blend, and what do you have, has anyone like, what's like the successful so far? Do you have any like clients? Can you mention who they are, or what a successful client has looked like?
Sure, absolutely. Let's break out timing by where we're at currently, as well as the different demographics, right? Because realistically, clients now, clients down the line are going to be different. Short-term clients now, for example, Key to Web3, the recruiting agency, they do a lot of, actually, that's how I met Kenneth, for example. They are a recruiting agency that does Web3 placements. Percentage of their services are done over a period of time. Natural candidate for us. We pay them in crypto. They now accept from their customers in crypto, service-based agencies. Now, medium term, this is crypto native still, right? Because we're thinking short-term timeline. Medium term, what we look at is the same technology that we have. We open up our APIs, and now we've got Coinbase Commerce and BitPay who are in conversation with us to white label our APIs because we've solved the issue of recurring payment infrastructure that they themselves have not. Now, beyond that is going to be the extension into the Web 2 side of things. Now, on the Web 2 merchant side of things, SaaS models, international models, service models are going to be relatively easy. Anyone who wants to do cross-border payments, we've seen a lot of benefit, basically a lot of interest from. Sales Management Association is one of them. They're one of the largest sales associations in the US, and they do an annual membership that has global people coming. So they are one of our clients as well. But beyond that, the enterprise side of things is going to require a lot more regulation. So now we've got Web 2, Web 3 are mostly kind of the similar buckets of people in terms of service-based industry SaaS models. Now, our third clientele is going to be actually customers who use our infrastructure almost like one would use a ecosystem, right? Where we have these mechanisms moved in place, but they have a different idea of how to use this. I can't release the name, but there's a relatively large company that's up and coming that wants to use this for, again, they're living treasury vaults to make use of basically the fact that we can govern by time, we can govern by escrow, and we can govern by distribution conditions. And they, as well as another peer-to-peer remittance company, will be using us for their core infrastructure, thereby reducing their time to market for their product, probably from measurement of like quarters to weeks and or single digit months. So yes, we have a lot of different, we have a lot of different clientele groups at different stages of our development, right? As we should.
I got it. And then I have a nerd question. So that was my one, and I get two, right? Crystal, is that cool? I was curious, and you didn't mention about how you do the like recurring payments, like is it tied to block count at all? And I don't know if that's like secret sauce. Can you mention that? Like I just always have wondered how you can actually connect it in a decentralized way, recurring payments, and does it have ties to block count?
Not directly, but it's an interesting question. Like, so block count is an aspect of the blockchain that you can that is available to you inside the EVM, the processing system that runs inside the blockchain. Outside of those things that the blockchain gives you access to, you don't have access to much. So like, there's not access to like what time of day it is or what, so all these different things. But we do have access to the timestamp of the block. And that's what we key all of our recurring payments on. So when you say I want to recur every 7 days, then when we process, we calculate what that is in block time stamp looks like, and we set that in the smart contract, and then we just check that again when we go to process it again. So that's what we're using on the blockchain side to make sure that the frequency of your payments can't be any more than you've agreed to in your cryptographic agreement.
And it's relatively accurate, right? Like because I know with Bitcoin, like they didn't know when the halving was, and it's because it could vary. But like,
well, let's say it's if it's not accurate, it's consistent. Let's say it's consistent and not accurate. Yeah.
Good to know. Perfect. That's what I want to know.
Great questions. And Russ, you are always welcome to ask as many questions as you like. So my question is, why has nobody done this before?
There have been multiple attempts on this before, but if we take this from the perspective of mass adoption, there's a couple of things that needed to happen. One, mass awareness that crypto's an actual thing and not just us kind of dicking around. 2, wallet infrastructure, right? A decade ago, we all had to download, I don't know, Exodus wallet, which I still love, and back up the entire Bitcoin node. And that's how we submitted our transactions. So accessibility for consumer applications. 3 is going to be the on-ramps and off-ramps, the accessibility of digital currency itself. And then 4 is going to be the regulatory clarity, right? On a business adoption level, no matter how much we shadily do this, give me one second, actually. 4 for mass adoption, it is going to be the regulatory clarity, but the answer is people have done this before. My background comes from crypto in 2012, 2014, thereabouts, from the crypto commerce side of things, the Silk Road side of things. And the answer is crypto commerce has been around and is millions of dollars and has been around for a long, long time. And a decentralized trustless commerce system does work. And the rest of the mass market is just picking up on it now. So it has been done, but not in the same way that we're doing it, which is the mass market accessibility.
Thank you. Tom, you have a question.
Yeah. So I recently started working with a startup, and so this kind of question is a little bit, well, actually 2 parts. So first part is they're a Canadian company, but they're definitely in this, and they're trying to use crypto operationally. Good for them, right? So, paying people, paying for things, receiving payments and so forth. God bless them. That is the future. It's part of why I unretired, to help people like them, right? So, but the thing is, I seem to recall reading that you're kind of focused on stable coins. The problem is they don't really live in a stable coin environment. They're not using stable coins, right? So from a practical standpoint, I love this idea, this product, the process. I have a financial systems background, I have a retail background. I hate merchant processing, with a passion for a lot of reasons. But how should I position this to them in terms of the kind of future roadmap for doing stuff other than stable coins? Because I think the question will be a little bit about volatility, about how you price the budget, if you will, and so forth.
So our general thought on stablecoins is, again, tied to the current time, right? There's a lot of regulatory differences in different geographical regions based on what does it look like to sell a fluctuating price token. So we do stablecoins just to make it easier on our merchants, but for the most part, could we just pass through ETH to ETH? Yes. Is our general flow going forward to make it so that all coins are converted to stable coins by the time they get to the merchant? That is our general go-to-market strategy right now, tentatively, because that's so far based on the information that we've received. What is going to be the most viable point of adoption and ease of adoption, just generally for non-crypto natives? Could we open that back up and be like, hey, listen, you want to receive ETH, Matic, Sol? Sure. Can we open it up? Sure. Right. There's a second part to your question, right?
Yeah, about how you're pricing, like, because stable coins are stable, obviously, but other assets are volatile, right? Mm-hmm. So you'd have to have, so they're specifying, let's say I want 1,000 Canadian, for example, right? But they're not using a stable coin for that, right? So their contract would be something like 1,000, and then you'd have to, I guess, do the conversion to fix whatever the actual asset that's going to actually be paid.
Gotcha. David, you unmuted. Was there something you wanted to say? Did you want to jump in?
Well, I would just say that exactly. This is the reason why we chose stablecoins, because of the problematic situation of being able to settle the cost of a token that isn't fixed. To be able to settle that atomically inside of a single transaction is problematic. That I will say that obviously we want to be able to extend this to other token types other than stable coins. And the reason for that is because there's a lot of people who want to get to charge a subscription in their own currency. They have a token, yes, and they want to receive payment in their token.
Exactly.
And so for us, then that becomes an issue of, okay, so how do you denominate the product's value? Do you denominate it in a fiat currency type like USD or something like that? Or do you denominate it in a currency specific to your token? If it's the latter, the problem is moot, because we can always just do a simple, okay, right, 15 of your token, right? If it's the former, now we have to get involved with the Oracle. We have to find an Oracle, decentralized Oracle, that would give us the value of your token. and a decentralized service that will atomically swap it for us so that we can convert it to a stable functioning value for you, right? Or if you don't even care if you get a swap, if you just want the right value, then all we have to do is calculate what the actual amount would be, and then process it that way. That's not something our current system can set up to do, but we have that on our roadmap. That's a very interesting problem, and we're eager to solve that problem.
Yeah, I think in in this client's case, because they're dabbling, right? So they're still very heavily fiat based, right? But they're dabbling with it, and it's cross border. They have clients both in Canada and the U.S. And so, they're literally also pricing some stuff in US and some, USD and some stuff in Canadian. So my guidance to them was try to steer clear of trying to do it on a fiat number, right? If it's really important to you, because I just didn't see that if they want to use these other assets, it's actually kind of problematic. You're literally are going to have to make a phone call and say, is it okay to do this today? Like kind of stuff. And that just kind of seems self-defeating.
Actually, in the midterm, right, we really break out what people want to receive and what people want to pay, and us being the rail in the middle. The ideal goal is people pay in whatever, right? They pay in whatever random altcoin that they want. And that depending on the liquidity of that token itself, there's a swap at the point of checkout, right? You want to pay in this obscure token? Great. There just happens to be a 15% liquidity markup, convenience fee, right? And by that time, then it gets converted to something that is a more stable thing, that is a more acceptable liquidity token that then gets passed on to the merchant. But in the case of the merchant receiving USDC, it'll always be one USDC, which is pegged to the dollar, and then their only exchange difference is then what it takes to convert it to the Canadian dollar, right? In which case, in this situation, they can accept anything in theory, but the only thing they have to deal with is a relatively stable currency.
Thank you.
Relatively low fix, short term with the technology as it is now, it's not unreasonable to put the burden on, because we pay gas fees, right? So it's not unreasonable to put the burden of convenience. If you want to pay with a shitcoin, it's your job to make that swap, right? But we just make it easy for you to do so. If you want to do this extremely obscure thing that you just made 800% on, so what do you care if it's a 40% markup? You really don't if you can pay with your Netflix subscription for it. So it's understanding that there's two very different demographics. It's the people who are paying and willing to pay and their price elasticity or inelasticity based on their segment, and then the people who are receiving the money.
Right. And we've been focusing on the people who are receiving the money, because nobody wants to carry wildly volatile assets on their books for any period of time and have to deal with reporting on that, right? So
not at all.
Yeah. So we let the merchant say, yeah, I want to receive in stable coins. But then the roadmap would dictate that we will allow a customer to pay in whatever they want, and then we'll convert it for the merchant, and we'll take a percentage of a small fee for that convenience to make sure that it works correctly. And I think we're benefiting both the merchant and the consumer in that arrangement, because they get to pay without ramping off, and the merchants doesn't have to worry about volatility. So
win-win for each of them. So tell me, you guys are doing a raise. It's a $2 to $3 million raise. Tell us a little bit more about your raise.
Absolutely. So we're doing a $2 to $3 million raise. We've done angels primarily before this, as well as looked towards some crypto VCs. Now, anyone who's in the investor space knows that there's kind of a trend towards tokens right now, which I generally think a short-term token strategy is not the right way to go. So what we're genuinely looking for is people who understand this bigger picture, partners, investors, not just beyond the capital, right? People who understand that there is this opportunity that we can carve out this new market of crypto commerce that is untouchable by existing rails, right? Beyond just the fact that there's still 20-30% of the adult population in the world that is un-KYC'd and unbanked. Emerging markets and things like that are prime candidates, right? So I want people who understand and will work with us towards this both medium and longer term vision that we can create through efficiency, basically just through efficiency, a whole entire new market to the scale that hasn't been seen before since essentially the creation of e-commerce through internet, right? those are the kind of investors we're looking for. The terms, 20 mil cap, relatively mobile depending on who our partners are, but I'm not very good at shilling myself. I'm here for the long run. If you guys, we've got all our partners lined up. We've got BitPay, we've got Coinbase Commerce, we've got an upcoming announcement with PayPal. We know what we're doing on the tech side. We know what we're doing on the business strategy side, and we're continuing to look for these opportunities and market opportunities. We're in a relatively untouched space. Every feedback from the customers in the space that we've had is that this is unseen before. Our approach, again, is to build things that are absolutely practical and necessary now for mass adoption, and again, to bridge that gap between the potential of crypto and the 99%. So if you guys are interested, do reach out to me. What we're doing with this 2 to 3 mil is expanding essentially our ability for wider reach. Southeast Asia, North Africa, Latin America, Saudi, right? We already have a little bit of distribution there, but we want to accelerate that. Again, as well as BitPay and Coinbase Commerce are looking for us for our API integration, and those things will be vastly accelerated from Q4 to Q3 given this funding. So all the dominoes are fully set. We're just looking for the right partners who are uncompromising in the long-term vision to help us make that happen.
Can you elaborate a little bit on your enticing equity to token warrant ratio?
That is correct. So right now we're raising at a 1-to-1 safe 20 mil cap to token warrant. Now, tentatively, it's going to be 0 cliff, 18-month vesting, 18-month linear vesting. Now, we all know that the market is or is not going to be hot in a couple months. I suspect that we're reaching like a mid or late end of the bull. So would also like everyone to kind of work together to make sure that whether we launch this cycle or next, that we gain the maximum multiples that are possible, right? A lot of people are like, hey, a lot of investors are afraid that this might be the last bull cycle or the last token viable cycle. If that's the case, there's a lot of issues because that might just be a legal problem, right? But I do see with some of my own investments as well that retail is getting a little bit worn out. And for something like us, which we have a high profitability margin, we're literally a SaaS model, right? We have payments is one of the most profitable models out there, taking a percentage of every single thing, as well as our white label taking a percentage of their percentage. That a bear move, like our investment strategies right now, raising a very small round, 2 to 3 mil pennies, right? But to take that, reach profitability, build through a bear, and then absolutely blow up our Series A, right? Because coming out as the core infrastructure of what the next wave of crypto adoption is going to be, which is going to have to be monetization. The world's gotten a little tired of these hypothetical cases. People are going to have to show that blockchain is more efficient, or blockchain does have these use cases, and the only way to measure that beyond token price or community size at this point is going to be your actual ability to generate revenue. So positioning for the next cycle is really what we're aiming for.
I absolutely love Coinsub. Thank you so much, Jasper and David, for joining us today on the Crypto Canaverse show. Casey, thank you for being guest co-host. And Jordan, thank you for returning as our company spotlight. We appreciate each and every one of you. Is there anything that you guys would like to say before we wrap up, Jasper or David? Any last comments? Besides, what?
I was just gonna say thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining. I am always open. Ping me on LinkedIn. That's the best place to reach me about any questions, thoughts. Like I'm a nerd at heart and love chatting about this stuff. If you guys have any cool ideas that we haven't talked about, happy to float those as well.
Yep. I'll just say thanks for letting us come and talk about what we're really excited about, one of our passion projects. You did ask a question earlier, which is why haven't people done this before? And Jasper answered it correctly. There have been people who've done this before. And actually, if you go look for crypto recurring payments or crypto subscription payments, you'll find a number of vendors who claim to do the same thing. But keep in mind, guys, we're building a decentralized solution. No one else is doing that. Not a single one. Okay. Our solution works. If Coinsub goes out of business, it still works. It's on the blockchain, right? So that's the whole point of what we're building. We're not building something that is, you trust me, wink, wink, I'll charge when you want. No, we're not building that. It's a lot harder to build the tech that we built. And we think that it has a lot more applicability to a lot more range of commercial activities than just subscription payments. So this is just a start of what we're able to do. We're going to keep knocking out new commercial agreements and expanding into other areas of complex commerce that we've never seen before on the blockchain. And we're excited to be a part of that. So thanks.
So they have done this before, but nobody's done it before quite like Coinsub. Love it. Love it. Thank you guys so much. Alan, would you mind please quickly closing in prayer? We have about 30 seconds.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Let's bow our heads and pray. Dear God, thank you so much for another great week of Crypto Counterverse show. Thank you for Jasper and David with the Coinsub doing some amazing things, exciting things in merchant space and utilizing blockchain as a tool for users. Merchants, and thank you so much for Jordan being here as our company highlight, as well as Casey with Crypto Arc. And just pray for each one of us and everyone here that you continue to bless us in all things that we do, looking for opportunities and investors where a need may be. And we know that in the perfect timing, you would continue to work through us. Praying for this weekend that you be with us. In Christ's name, pray. Amen.